So I met Jerald, the founder of Achievers Dream, and his business is exactly what I want that BioTutor to turn into. Maybe not such a large scale, I don't know yet, but that's exactly what I want that BioTutor to be. Specialize in just one subject and really known for it. Provide really good service, quality, customer-centric, and have a team of tutors. That's what I want to go that BioTutor into. And after meeting him, I wrote down quite a lot of random lessons that I learned. So I'm going to be sharing that here. Just for context, this is 10 p.m. at night, and I just did 6 hours, 25 minutes of actual work, not including all those admin work stuff. So today has been really productive, and I'm proud of that. Most of it was because I was rushing to prepare a lesson, and most of the work came from that. So it's amazing what urgency can do for us. Okay, so lesson 1. Get context on the outside working world. So even though I am never going to be an employee, but it's still good to talk to other people who are employees, find out what are their woes, their struggles, how's their salary like, how's the compensation like, so that I can be better at hiring employees in future, knowing how to pay them and so on, knowing what are the struggles so that I can avoid that and create an attractive environment to work in. Okay, next thing is that even if you don't have strong qualifications, degree, master's, PhD, whatever it is, it doesn't matter as much compared to producing results. So producing results gives you testimonials. Testimonials gives you credibility. As long as many people can back up and have that social proof, then you have credibility already. And here's the thing that I am considering in this point in life. So I am year 1 in uni now, and I know that my degree is basically useless. The only reason that I'm even entertaining the thought of getting a degree is just for the sake of having that qualification to show parents, to show people for me being a tutor. So the fear I have is if I drop out of uni, if I don't go to uni, I will only have an A-level cert and people might not trust in me. But he told me that I already have credibility because I have results of students. I have lots of testimonials actually on my website. So even if I am a dropout, I will not die. And I haven't decided what will happen yet if I drop out of uni or not. But it's nice to know that even if I do, I'm not going to die. Alex Hormozy says this quote, which I really like, which is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And the answer to that is I'll drop out of uni because I don't see the point in it. I don't see the value in getting the degree. In fact, it's actually taking a lot of time away from my business, and I cannot serve my students to the highest level. It's compromising my dreams. So probably I should drop out. And next thing that I learned from him was that I asked him this question, which actually a lot of people also ask me: how do you get it all done, right? How do you work out? How do you run a business? How do you juggle university? And then for Jerald, how does he be a family man at the same time? His answer is that say no to many things when you are young. Because when you're older, many more options will be open to you. And it's so true, right? So now, during the younger ages, most people my age are out there doing as many activities that makes them feel good, right? They socialize a lot. They go to clubs and parties, and they do fun stuff, I guess. They definitely do not prioritize improvement and growth and their career and their future. They don't prioritize that because they're like, oh, when I graduate, when I'm older, then these things will come naturally. Then I'll take responsibility for my future. If you say no to all those things and keep your head down and work while you're young, then when you're older, you'll be at such a much further place ahead than everyone else that you can basically do whatever you want because you have the means to be able to do so. And what I got from that is that Jerald feels it was a worthwhile pursuit. And I also agree with it. I think it is a worthwhile path. Although it is a path that seems hard in the moment because there's all this delayed gratification that you see everyone around you, your age, partying and living that life, and they're like, oh, why are you always working, So there's also that social ostracism that you might feel. Even if they don't ostracize you, they might be like, that guy thinks he's better than all of us now. I get some of that vibes also. And it's hard to relate to people your age. So there are many factors that try to take me off this path and drag me down to mediocrity. But overall, I do think it is a worthwhile path. There's this saying that hard road becomes easy and the easy road becomes hard. So I think that summarizes this very well. Okay, next lesson I learned is that if I enjoy teaching in itself as an activity, I don't need to remove myself from teaching completely because I initially thought that, hey, I want to hire a team of tutors and eventually I don't want to teach anymore. I just want to manage the business. But if it's an activity that I like, then you don't need to reduce your teaching to absolute zero. Plus, you can get to stay on the ground and see the problems, interact with the students, understand the customer directly. That actually is very powerful. And I think for the exact reason, I'm going to still continue being a teacher as long as I own this business. Just that I might have very few classes. On the other hand, if you have too many classes, then it will actually erode your passion because familiarity breeds contempt. And if you keep eating the same chocolate cake every day that you love, and very often, soon you'll start hating and feeling disgusted that chocolate cake. I'm glad I didn't fall into this because I only have 2 classes each week. Last year, I only had 2 classes. This year, I might have 4 classes total because my aim is 100 students. But if I am like those tutors who they just stack their whole schedule with classes every day, soon you'll feel that contempt and disgust for the very thing that you like to do. So I'm glad that you told me that so that I don't go on to that other end and erode my passion. Okay, the next lessons are about compensation. Jerald told me that in AD, in Achievers Street, every year he aims to give a raise to all those who meet the mark. And I think that's exactly what I want to do as well. I want to give a raise to all employees who I feel, they're worth it every year. And that actually applies to my assistants now. So I guess those assistants who meet the mark, who produce quality work, and honestly, they just make my life easier, I should give them a raise like every now and then. And as for compensation in a tuition center, I used to think that the best way to do it would be to just have a commission basis. So like maybe you get 50% of all the revenue that you collect as a tutor, and that might incentivize them to be super ambitious and try to get as many students as they can. So that was what I thought would be the way forward. But Jerald told me that the way he does it is he uses a base salary plus a little bit of variable compensation to incentivize people to do a bit more, to incentivize people to go above and beyond. But it's not mainly commission based like the one that I thought of. And the reason for that is that he doesn't necessarily want very ambitious people. He wants stable-minded people who seek stability. That's because in AD, he's built it such that everything is systems dependent, just like McDonald's. You can just hire anyone, you just tell them the exact steps and procedures to making the burger. They can make a burger pretty much as good as anyone else, as long as they follow the procedures. These kind of people are not necessarily very brilliant or bright or anything, and so you don't need to pay them direct commission, which is a much higher bar to hit, versus people who just are mainly following instructions. You don't need to pay them that kind of structure. So a base salary plus a bit of variable compensation is good enough. So I'm going to consider this because I too want to build a business that runs on systems. So a very good book for this is The E-Myth Revisited. And if you read that, it basically tells you to build your business just like McDonald's. Because if you can just rely on the systems and procedures, then it can be idiot-proof and it can truly run without you. And that's actually the end goal of what I want to build as well. Okay, the other thing that I learned from him is that the main thing to do in growing any tuition business would be to affect these 3 variables: number of students, price that you charge each student, and how long they stay. So essentially, these amount to the lifetime value or LTV of each student. And that's exactly the 3 variables that I've also put up on my vision board that I want to hit for this year. The next thing that I learned is that always try to get your business in a state that it can be sold. And at first I was like, but I don't want to sell my business. But he said, even if you don't want to sell it yet, you should still get your business in that state because it forces you to then systematize everything and remove yourself from being necessary in the business. So it forces you to run a very good and clean business if it's sellable. And in the future, I might want to sell it if my plans change, right? So all the better to get it to a sellable state. He also said to think of the journey of entrepreneurship like a marathon, and so make it enjoyable, then you'll go far. If not, you'll feel burnt out very soon and then you'll give up. So I know it's quite a cliche, but it's true and it's a good warning for me because recently I do feel a little bit burnt out with the immense work that I've been doing, but I need to remind myself to make the journey enjoyable. If not, I won't go far. And on the note about enjoyment, remove the belief that it is wrong to enjoy. Because for myself and for most Asians, I'm sure that we have been brought up with a belief that we should save, that we shouldn't buy things that are expensive. We shouldn't enjoy or indulge ourselves. And that's very true. But on the other hand, if you go to the extreme, then every time you make money, and I guess you'll be guilty to spend it, and that would indirectly hinder you from making more money because subconsciously you're telling yourself, there's no point making more, there's no point being more successful because I can't spend it anyway, because I don't want to spend it because I feel guilty. So how to remove the belief that it's wrong to enjoy yourself? Budget a percentage of money, like he suggested 5%. That way you won't feel guilty when you spend that 5%. I need to do that because I do feel guilty, but I think once you set a limit, like what percentage of your income you do that on, then you won't feel guilty about it. He also recommended that I need to have forced savings every month, which unfortunately I have not been doing. So yes, I've been complacent about savings, but I need to start having that forced savings. So actually tomorrow, I'm going to meet my financial advisor and we're going to budget for me. He also said that if you ever take out from your savings, you need to pay back with interest, with 5% interest. So that way it will really incentivize you not to take out from your savings and to stay within your budget. Because if you ever take out, then you need to put back extra. Next thing about motivation to work is that I also asked him about what drives him now, because he's gotten to a place where one would feel like, okay, money's not a problem anymore. So what drives you further at this point, at this stage in business? And he said that employees become motivation also. So he wants to increase their salary every year, right? So in order to do that, he needs to grow the entire business on the whole so that we have more profits to pay the employees higher salaries. Building a team and a community and actually liking them so much that you want to make a better life for them by growing your business, I think that is a great source of motivation that I have yet to tap into fully. And in future, when I have a team of tutors, I definitely want this to become a motivation of mine. He also said that when he talks to other tutors, and if he helps them, and if they take his advice and they improve, especially if it's about being customer-centric and truly having the best interest of the students at heart, he is indirectly benefiting many students through influencing those tutors. So one of my future businesses that I want to start, which is this tuition launch channel, is to coach tutors on how to build a profitable tuition business. I've always been debating on should I even do this? Or should I just stick with that bio tutor? Is there even a market for this? But now it's given me even more motivation to go forward with that in future. Because the more tutors that I can coach and influence to be more customer-centric, then the more students I'm indirectly benefiting and improving their lives. And I'm basically shaping the industry slowly, one tutor at a time. If each tutor has hundreds of students under them, imagine how many students would be benefiting as a whole. So it's definitely given me more reason to pursue the idea of tuition launch. Next thing he told me is that on this part of tuition launch, I used to be more active on this channel and give more tips and so on. But then I realized that no one cares. The success I've achieved is so tiny, insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It's not impressive enough to warrant people to want to come to me for help and to ask me, and rightly so, because honestly, I also 90% of the time, I'm not sure whether what I'm doing is correct. And whereas Jerald has gotten to a point where people want to pay him for consulting, I get to that stage where people want to come to me and say here, I'd like to pay you to give me advice on how I should tweak my business. Then I think that's the right time to start tuition launch. But for now, I have accepted the fact that I need to earn my stripes, become truly an expert in this before I start to embark on that business. Next thing that I learned is that on my social media and my email sequences that I send to students, I give a lot of value. I give, but I don't ask enough. So perhaps I need to ask more, right? I need to have certain promotional materials in my Instagram feed and run more ads and so on. I have, on the point of ads, I've always been running ads to students only. So the whole funnel is set up towards students. I target the students with ads, and they come into my landing page. It's also tailored to students. The email sequences they get are also all tailored to students. Everything is students. And several people have expressed surprise that, I target students. I thought you would advertise to parents, right? Not students. But to me, it was always it didn't make sense because the parents are not the target audience. They are not the user. They're not the one feeling the pain. It's the students who understand the pain of the subject. And so I've always marketed to students. But I've heard this enough that marketing to parents is definitely a huge opportunity on the table. Plus, it's probably how most tuition centers even get their students by marketing to parents. So I really need to do that. And so I asked Jerald how to market to parents, right? And he actually said it's the same stuff I've already been doing. I have my lead magnets of free notes. I have my email sequences, right? I just need to adapt it to parents. But there are apparently parents who will download this kind of stuff. I had the misconception that only the students will be interested in this because they know the subject. But apparently there are kiasu enough parents that will download this kind of stuff, will click on those lead magnets for my free notes, and because they just care about their students' grades, their child's grades that much. So that's what I'm going to implement. I'm going to start advertising to parents, adapting all my stuff that I already have, because it's relatively low effort. I'm not creating brand new stuff from scratch here. And I'm also going to get on other tuition centers' email lists, and see how they do it. Okay, the second last thing is that I need to save a lot, really a lot. Because when I save more, then I can think about hiring new tutors in future. Because hiring a tutor will be a fixed cost that I have to keep on paying every month. So the only way to be safe and to safely hire someone is when I have at least a 12-month runway of expenses for the business. And honestly, right now, I don't have a 12-month, so I need to save. I have been complacent on my finances and on my savings. The last thing is that I also asked Jerald, how did you know that your wife was the one? And he said he wrote a list of everything he wanted in a wife, all the traits that he wanted. and he had a 44 points. Then when he met his future wife at that time, she had 41 of 44 traits. So that was how he knew that, okay, she's the one. And he knew that he wanted to marry her. I'm also taking a similar approach now. I'm writing like a list of all the stuff that I want. Honestly, I feel quite a little bit hopeless, a little bit sad, because the demands I have are really high. Actually, they're not extremely high, but very few people, especially at my age, will meet these demands. So I'll give you some examples. Like, what I want in my future wife is that she's a self-improver, she grows, she reads, especially self-development books. She's spiritually mature in Christianity, and she thinks for herself. She is a critical thinker. She's not a sheep. She is a good listener. She openly and honestly communicates. She's emotionally mature. She values her beauty and her physique, just as I do, for her sake. She takes care of her health. She watches her diet. She exercises and all that. So I know it sounds like, all these are just basic things. You're just looking for a healthy person, right? But the thing is that most people are not excellent, and most people do not have these traits. So it feels a little bit hopeless, but I am going to have faith that there are good people out there. Yes, there are good people out there. Okay, so Jerald, if you're watching this, thank you for all the lessons that I've learned over that short dinner with you. And yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet you and talk to you.